Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, everyone. We are live. JLR Investigates. Come on in, come on in. New stuff to talk about this evening. We're talking about the mass shooting that occurred in Winder, Georgia, Barrow County. Still hasn't been a week. Happened last Wednesday, so we're about Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 5 days, 6 days, 5 days since this terrible tragedy happened. We still don't know all of the answers, but we are slowly getting an understanding on what transpired that fatal day. Started in the morning on last Wednesday, Apalachee High School in Winder, Georgia. A terrible, terrible mass shooting. 4 people lost their lives, numerous other people injured. In the course of that time, this guy right here, 14-year-old Colt Gray, and his dad, Colin Gray, were arrested, and they are being held right now without bond. They haven't sought an official bond hearing yet. As of now, they go to court December 4th, subjected to change, as the district attorney, Brad Smith, said. Now, I thought over the weekend, we covered this case a lot over the weekend and was putting out more and more information that was coming out, particularly Colt's mom, the back history of the mom, and the mom allegedly received a text from Colt the morning of the shooting. The mom contacted the school to let school knew what was going on. About 30 minutes before the shooting occurred, a little bit before 10 a.m., the mom called the school at, I think, 9:50, and then she tried to race 200 miles to the scene, and then the shooting happened. We learned that. We learned a lot about Colt Gray's grandparents, who claimed they actually tried to call the school a week, or a contact. They actually went to the school a week before the shooting occurred to talk about his mental health and a treatment plan. And I thought over the weekend some new stuff would come out today, or I thought some stuff came out today, and really there wasn't much new information out today, but there was body cam footage. Body cam footage right here. This is Colt Gray. Hat on, has a blue hat, and this wasn't from the body cam from the school shooting itself. This was from the incident in Jackson County in May of 2023 in regards to the Discord stuff, the Discord threats that he allegedly made. He's denying it. Dad's kind of denying it too. But it does paint a picture, and it's very, very interesting. And this body cam footage just got released a little bit ago. Still waiting for the body cam footage on his arrest in Georgia, in Barrow County on the day of the shooting. That will be interesting to see if that ever gets released. I'm sure it will. It's open to public records. Should be able to get that information. Hopefully they release that, because I want to see that. But we're going to play the body cam footage. And then also there's another clip I want to share. Apparently, we got some information about the person that tried to track him down after they received the call from the mom to try to, see what's up. Remember, we heard about a school administrator going to look for this individual. It seems like it was the assistant principal that was involved here, based off this clip I'm going to share. But we're going to go with the body cam footage first. We'll play that clip, and then we'll review this body cam here, talk about it more, talk about this case. I'll bring Magnolia up in the chat, since we've been covering this case extensively. Anything and everything dealing with this terrible tragedy, we are sharing on JLR Investigates as it unfolds. So let's listen to the body cam footage, folks. I'm going to hold it up here. We'll listen. They're knocking on the door. Dun, 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 dun. Are you Colt Gray? Yeah, that's me. So let's listen, folks.
Conditions that made a threat to shoot up the school.
Oh.
For real? Yes, sir. How are you? Are you Colin? I am. You want to step out where we can talk real quick? You got a son or something that uses, what Discord is? No. So we got a tip from the FBI saying that somebody from your old address over there in Traditions that made a threat to shoot up the school. For real? Yes, sir. And your name was associated with that address. So we went over to that address, and you weren't living there, so now we live here. Let me get dressed. Sure.
Nice neighborhood. So Colin answered the door.
Who answered the door?
He's getting dressed.
Working nights.
Yeah. I at least wear pajama bottoms when I answer the door. At least try to. Some of the door underwear.
What did he answer? Was he naked? I think he was in his underwear.
I usually have a gun in my hand.
I didn't even see what he was wearing. Oh, they got a MAGA flag.
I had a thing over on Davenport Road. Guy had stumbled through this person's yard, knocked on the door, dropped. When he left, he walked through a fence and tumbled into the ditch, lost his phone. So I picked his phone up, and it was one of those last calls. So I put it in an evidence bag, and I was like, and it was on the weekend, so I was like, nobody's going to be messing with this. So I put it in an evidence bag, forgot to take it by the office, went home. I had somebody showing up on my doorstep at 2 o'clock in the morning, beating on the door. Wife comes in there and like, hey, there's somebody at the front door. Went out there, they were gone, but I called Griff. He came out there and checked it out.
Looks like it might be.
That's all right. Sorry, I got up watching the golf tournament and sat back down. That was it. So what? Tell me what. You have any kids or anything living here? Yeah, Colt Gray. Colt? Yeah, Colt. He's my oldest son. How old is he? He's 13. Does he play a lot of video games and stuff? Yeah, he does. Play all the time. Is he here right now? Yeah. But, think it's something you might have. I damn sure want to know. Can you talk to him? Yeah, absolutely. Now look, he gonna get all red-faced when you talk to him. Just calm, all right? So him and his. Let me give you a backstory. So we lived over traditions. I went to work one day. I'm a sole provider, build high rises downtown. So I get a call from one of y'all, like. So my family's in law enforcement. So when I get the call, I can't think the officer's name. Turns out, nicest guy like ever. He's like, I just want to let you know I'm at your house. I'm like, for what? He said, y'all have been evicted. I'm like, no, I just paid rent. He's like, no. He's like, I'm going to stay here till you get here. So I drove all the way out. All my shit's in the front yard. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'll just let you know this is what's going on. There's people standing there with trailers and shit. And I'm like, what are they doing? He's like, well, they're going to get your stuff after 24 hours. Is that right? Like, I don't even know why y'all are here. So, long story short, I'm like, trying to figure out what's going on with my wife. She's in the house. So we split. Long story short, for obvious reasons. She took my younger two and went back home, lived with her mom. Colt and I rented a house and came here. So we've been good, like no problems. He struggled at first with the separation, all school was kind of so. So I've been up at school countless times just tracking with him, like, hey, make sure you're good. They understand what's going on. He goes to Jefferson School? He goes to Jefferson Middle School. So he's been doing really good. Like, in the beginning he kind of struggled a little bit. But let me ask you this: Do you have weapons in the house? I do. Are they accessible to him? They are. I mean, there's nothing loaded, but they are dangerous. We do a lot of shooting. We do a lot of deer hunting. He shot his first deer this year. So like I'm pretty much in shock, to be honest with you. Well, I'm a little pissed off, to be even really honest with you, if that is what was said. But we've been up to school for so many times now. The information I got was sort of incomplete. I don't know how old it is. And like I said, the original complaint went to your other address, or your previous address, and that's where we just came from. It wasn't him. Yeah, no, I'm sure it wasn't. I don't know if, and so we ran I had your name and date of birth, but that's how we got this address. So, I mean, I swear to God, we've been up to school. I've been up to school, like, I'm on first name. I just was up there 3 days ago for his finals, talking with the principal, like, look, make sure Colt's good. He gets flustered and under pressure. He doesn't really think straight. Can we just, just kind of put your arms around him, get him through 7th grade? I just want to make sure he's good. We're up there all the time talking to school. If you talk to that school, they'll know exactly who I am. I'll say that. Okay. Because I'm up there that much,
Checking in on him.
Yeah, I just want to make sure he's good.
Yeah.
So I'm a little taken back by the whole thing, but I can tell you this, I take that very serious, and so does he, as a matter of fact. Say his first name's Colt? Colt, C-O-L-T, yes, sir.
All I can do is ask him.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, I want you to talk to him and just tell him. I don't know anything about him saying shit like that, and I'm gonna be mad as hell if he did. And then all the guns will go away, and they won't be accessible to him. I'm trying to be honest with you. I'm trying to teach him about firearms and safety and how to do it all, and get him interested in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Like on my phone.
Get him away from those video games.
Exactly right. That's the God honest truth. And the picture on my phone is him with blood on his cheeks from shooting his first deer. It was just the greatest day ever. So he knows the seriousness of weapons and what they can do and how to use them and not use them. So it's kind of a little bit of a shock. So in whatever y'all are telling him, please instill in him that if this is where this has come from, it's no joke.
No.
It's no joke.
But we wouldn't be here if it was.
No, I know. And I'm telling you right now, we talk about it quite a bit. All the school shootings, things that happen.
Yeah.
All here. You getting picked on at school? He is. He's getting picked on at school. And is everything okay? That's why I keep going up there.
Yeah.
Because you never really know. And I don't want anything to happen to him. So. Yeah, y'all.
All right, well, if you want to grab them,
y'all talk.
Or we can go in and it's
That's all cool. Hang on.
All right, that was a Georgia flag, by the way. I said it was a MAGA flag. It looks like it was a Georgia flag. I saw a red flag. This is weird, folks. We'll talk about this when it's done. It's like the father already knew.
That's the worst part about it, though.
What information?
The information came in.
These are good dudes.
Hey, Colt, what's going on, bud? So did your dad kind of explain everything to you?
Said something about shooting up the school.
Did you say something about school shooting?
Never. I just told him, I don't know what. Maybe they misheard somebody else. So I never said that.
You never ever said.
No, I swear.
Do you use Discord?
Discord?
Yes, sir.
I used to. I don't have it anymore.
When's the last time you used it?
Like a few months ago.
Really?
Was it at Traditions or was it here? No, it was at Traditions because in that Discord account that I had deleted it before.
Before you moved here?
Yeah, because I think it got internet password for it or something. Like I clicked on a link and somebody.
Have you heard anybody on Discord when you were using it say something like that? You remember?
Like at that time?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think I ever had anybody that.
Never. And I'm not trying to get anybody hemmed up, but this is some serious stuff.
Yeah, I know. Oh, he knows how serious it is. Trust me.
I'd hate to. My boss was even I don't know how old this information is. If you want to wait till Monday to follow up, I'm thinking, nah, I'd rather do it now because.
So would we.
Because God forbid something happened, I didn't do my job. I'd feel pretty bad about this. So I just want to make sure you understand that if something like that happens or you hear something like that, report it. Tell your dad, tell teachers.
Like I told him, I would promise I would never say something.
So you haven't used Discord in a few months?
Oh, no.
And you're saying you didn't say anything like that?
No, the only thing I have is TikTok, but I just go around there and watch videos.
Okay. All right, well, fair enough.
What's your birthday?
Redacted.
He's just going to do a little report saying that
We talked.
we've done reference to this and that we talked and you saying that you didn't say anything like that. And I got to take you at your word and I hope you're being honest with me. I'm not saying you're lying, but it's
a serious thing.
It's it's not unusual for people to lie to us.
He's familiar with that too.
Hey, Colin, what's a good phone number for you, sir?
Redacted. He's thinking of his number. He's thinking of his number.
How's school going?
It's going good here.
About ready to get done with it?
I actually already finished. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I finished.
When was your last day?
Let's say Sunday to Friday.
Friday? What grade you going into?
8th grade.
8th grade, almost high school, man.
Yeah.
The last 4 years, really, the last 4 years is what matters.
Yeah, so I'm trying to, I'm just focusing.
Get them good grades, man. It'll set you up for the rest.
Redacted. He's given the phone number. It's weird he didn't even know his own phone number.
Yeah, so look, you all are welcome any time. We take it like dead serious around here, and I just want to make sure that I'd even feel better if you do find out what or where. Like, can somebody let us know?
Sure.
He's going to be full of anxiety until this gets resolved. I can tell you that right now. I've never really said something related to.
So did you switch schools when you moved from Traditions? Where were you going before?
West Jackson.
West Jackson Middle? Okay. Is things a lot better now?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. That's good.
Let me grab you one. Can I walk through your grass and I'll grab a car real quick?
Yeah, it's all good.
Are you getting bullied over there at West Jackson Middle?
That's the thing. I wasn't back there. I wasn't getting. Now look, be honest with him about that. Yeah. Now in middle school, I told him you were now, and that's
Getting switched out halfway through the school year? Being the new guy?
Yeah, I'm being that quite honest. We moved like 6 times already.
Well,
6
my
times.
dad was a logger and grew up in the military. We moved a lot when I was a kid.
Well, at the past schools, I was surprised that it wasn't. I had friends like I didn't necessarily have a reason that I would say that.
Yeah. Well, there's always somebody you can talk to if you need to.
Yeah, yes, sir.
School resource counselors.
Yeah, and I do talk to them. Yeah, I talk to the counselor quite often.
Okay.
Just, let her update her on, just how I'm doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, start looking out and making goals for yourself.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You interested in anything?
Let me philosopher when I grow up.
A what?
A philosopher.
Philosopher.
Yeah. It's kind of out there for me.
Philosopher.
Well, do what you enjoy. I did 20 years in the military. You don't have to settle on just one thing.
Yeah.
Did 20 years in the military, retired from that, and been doing this for 7. So, you don't have to fit everything inside the box.
Yeah, but I might branch out to different stuff.
Yeah. We got guys at the sheriff's office. They're full-time plumbers, full-time police officers. Do what pays the bills. Do what they enjoy. But everything's going good.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good. You got a phone?
Do I have phone? Yeah, I have a phone.
What's your phone number?
Like I said, I changed my phone number and I just connected my computer.
All right. Dad said you went deer hunting for the first time this past year.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you get?
Three-pointer.
Three-pointer?
Yeah, nothing much, but I still hunt.
Fork on one side and a prong on the other, or?
It was one on one side and 2,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, fork on one side and one on the other. Spike?
Yeah,
Yeah. I've probably seen more one-antlered deer this year than any other time in my life. Out there in rut and breaking off an antler.
Breaking off the antler.
Run around with just one set of antlers.
Brad's about this high. So, anyways, all right. Well, look, Colt, I appreciate it. Your dad's got my card. If anything, if you hear anything, tell your dad. Okay? He's got my number. You can pass the info on.
It's serious. He knows how serious it is, and he'll, like I said, we'll have a long conversation here in just a little bit. And it's something, it's a pretty traumatic thing that him and I I both went through now. He was at school, I was at work, come home, and I mean, every ounce of what we had was under tarps and sitting in that yard. You saw it. You saw the clientele, the neighbors that lived there. It was like fully embarrassing. So it was very traumatic for both of us. And living here, just us, is like, dust is finally settled. He's making good grades. So
That's good. We'll keep that up. That's important.
we'll start talking about traditions in West Jackson and just see if something jogs his memory like that. But certainly we'd like to know if you do find.
Well, my thing is this. So, more than likely, they tracked the IP address.
Okay.
And that's why we went to that address.
Okay.
Because the IP addresses are usually location specific.
Yep.
Within an area. So, if it came from that house, then either somebody there is lying, or the information's just so old.
Yep.
And maybe it was something he heard or did on Discord months ago. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
But he's telling me he didn't. He's telling me he can't remember anything like that. And I take that at your word. But if you look me in the eye and you tell me that's what you're telling me, I got no choice but to take it at your word right now. But like I was telling your dad, if we find out otherwise, then it's a different story. But
It's a really different story. Okay.
got any questions?
No, sir.
You have any questions?
No, sir.
All right. I'll have to go to the restroom.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, sir.
Y'all be safe.
Good luck to you.
I'll knock out before you want me to.
It don't matter. It's just going to be information. Our agency has made contact with these people. They had no idea. The husband said that he hasn't been on Discord since fantasy football. And then Colin made contact with him and then brought his son, got his date of birth, brought him out, spoke to him. Apparently he was getting bullied. Very soft-spoken, reserved kid.
Pretty much unable to substantiate anything at this point.
No.
And until we get more information from this
Okay.
so-called tip from the FBI.
We got Dad's phone number, so we'll just do an agency assist report for the FBI and write it up and we'll be done.
Sounds like a plan to me. I appreciate you helping me out, man.
Hey, no worries. You take care of it. You need the case number? You got it.
What?
You need the case number? You got it. Okay.
Okay, folks, Warrior Life, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. 5 lucky people got a membership to JLR Investigates. Oh boy, I got a lot to talk about here. Body cam footage. Didn't even go in the house to make sure those guns were secure or not secure. That's one of the red flags I've seen, more or less. It was the dad. It seems like the dad, I don't know, the son's also doing a lot of rocking and everything like that. It seems like it runs in the family with the rocking back and forth. It looked a little nervous here, but it didn't really seem like, the authorities there were pressing this issue very much, and just like, okay, well, and the dad's like, well, when you need to talk to him like almost like a teaching learning experience. Very strange stuff here. That transpired there, but it's good that they actually released it. The Jackson County Sheriff, who was a female, actually defended her officers and said they did everything right. That's the way I took it. Let's get Magnolia in the chat to talk about this particular body cam footage that's out. We're still waiting for the other body cam footage. He also said he moved 6 times. 6 times. That's I heard 6 times. Moved 6 times. Magnolia.
What?
Did he say he moved 6 times?
That they moved 6 times?
And he said he moved a lot of times. Looks like he's just been in multiple schools prior.
Yeah, and just recently have moved. So recent that it sounds like the police, it was kind of hard to hear some of the static and things like that, but it sounded like the police had gone to their previous address because that's where the IP was showing up as. And then they figured out that they had moved somewhere else.
Yeah, and they went there, and they didn't even go in the house.
Yeah.
And even looking, it seems like the they were just like, I think the officers, I mean, you heard the one guy say, well, we got this, and I just wanted to come out to make sure, but it didn't seem like there was a sense of urgency here. It was just like, hey, did you guys make,
No.
you know anything about any type of threats made on Discord? Nah, okay.
Right. The whole thing. That was crazy. Crazy. They're like, did you post this on Discord? And he was like, oh, no, I would never do something like that. And the cop literally said, fair enough. That's what he said. He said, fair enough. Like, and then the dad and the cop going back and forth, like they're just having a little chit chat. Like they just ran into each other down at the corner store and just having a talk about their sons. And it was just so casual and like laid back. And yeah, why wouldn't they have said, when he said that he doesn't have access to the guns, couldn't they have said, well, do you mind if we take a look real quick or something like that? Somebody in the chat said they would have needed a warrant to do that. But I think if they asked the question, do you mind if we take a look? And he said yes, that they could go in and look, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And if they said no and come back with a warrant, that would maybe even raise red flags for them to try to maybe get a warrant.
Right, yeah. It just seemed like they really had no interest. It was like they just got assigned this case. They went and did they went and did the stop, made the had the conversation, wrote the report, and just kept it moving.
It seems like the dad already knew what this was about. That's what I find strange too. Like as if they had issues before within the house of him saying things and doing things. So the dad's like knows what's going on.
Yeah, he didn't seem sufficiently
shocked,
surprised, in my opinion. He was kind of just like, oh, well, that's crazy. I'd be really mad if he did something like that. Son, did you do this? No. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we talk about school shootings all the time, and he knows. It's fine. They're like, all right.
Did he have a beer in his hand? What did he crack open there?
It was a blue can. Some people thought it was a Red Bull. I know Red Bull sugar-free comes in a color like that, but I think it was probably a Budweiser, like a Bud Light or something.
So,
which makes it even more weird if it was a beer and he's standing there cracking open a beer.
Yeah, I thought it was a Bud Light. I literally thought it was a blue Bud Light.
No, that's what it looked like. It definitely looked like a Bud Light.
I mean, that was a fairly decent house they lived in. Apparently, they moved multiple times before that, jumping different schools. He did, Dad talked about the bullying and stuff and the discussion of mass shootings, which we already discussed. This is just pretty wild, considering what transpired afterward. But now we got a little bit of insight, about, the inside this home here, the visit or not. I know they said, I believe authorities said, somebody asked, well, why didn't you charge him before when he made these threats last year or whatever like that? And then I think somebody there said something like, if he would have got charged with terroristic threats or something like that, it wouldn't have prevented this from happening anyway. But I think it would have. I think if they would have had him on a charge on this, it would have been serious, and it could have put a serious stop to this. I really do, him being under the supervision of some sort of juvenile probation or something like that. Monitoring him and stuff, and Dad probably wouldn't have gotten him that gun.
Yeah, it could have made it where he wasn't allowed to be around guns at all, or something to that effect. But yeah, I mean, it's just the attitude from the father is just so casual about the whole thing, and you can tell he just took none of this seriously at all. Because he turned around and gave him a AR-15 for Christmas, so it just seemed super casual. Like it wasn't a serious situation. It was like the officers went there because they were just checking off the boxes, making the report, and going home.
Wow, so many mishaps. It's just one of so many. But it also puts this all into perspective a little bit, and what went down with that. I have no doubt that he's the one that made the Discord stuff. I'm convinced that he did it. I don't believe it was other
Yeah.
people trying to frame him. I don't believe it was just a miss IP and it was another IP. I believe
Nah.
strictly that he probably was on there on Discord talking crap
Hmm.
and emboldened because his dad had guns.
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. And his dad, you know, also the questions just about in general his dad's parenting of him. I still want to know why he wasn't enrolled in school until 2 weeks after it started. Why wasn't he in class when he was supposed to be? Why was the father so resistant to getting him therapy? And why did the Polhamus family have to insist on it and go out of their way to talk to the counselor and get an appointment set up for him? They said he had an appointment set up, so did the father ensure that his son made it to that appointment? Did his father do any fathering at all besides teaching him how to shoot guns?
Oh, by the way, I just want to share this right here. Let me share this right here because we talked about this on our last live when we were talking about another topic. But the dad here, or the grandfather, Charlie, wants the death penalty against the dad. So the grandpa of accused Georgia school shooter Colt Gray says teen's evil father should get the death penalty for provoking the massacre.
Yeah.
That is crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So the grandfather is blaming the father for this. Notice the grandfather's not blaming. One thing I find odd, I mean, they're pointing a lot of fingers. Did the grandfather say, he's responsible too?
Yeah, he did. He said right away. He said, Colt did this. He deserves to be punished for this, but so does his father. That was in his very first statement he ever made. That he understands that Colt is responsible for the shooting and Colt needs to be held accountable. And then he added, so does his father.
Wow. But his father's not eligible for the death penalty. None of them are. Dad only faces, the dad faces a stacked sentence of like 170, 80 years, something like that, right? 180 years, 70 years, something. But the maximum on the crime itself, on the second degree murder, I think is 30 years. Statute maximum, but I think they're really going to set an example on the dad. I really do it. I mean, I guess you have precedent because of what happened in Michigan, and I mean, they can carry on to other states now, and I think the dad clearly was reckless here. Clearly, I will never understand how you have an incident like this where authorities come to your house about threats of school shootings and with guns, and then you reward your son with a gun for Christmas while not paying attention to anything he's doing.
Well, and what the police said in his charges and the charging documents, they said that the father provided a gun to someone that he knew was a threat to himself or others.
And that threat to yourself makes me think a little bit about, like, they're all talking about the guy, his grandparents went to the school, talked about his mental state. So there got to be some sort of, I really think there could have been some issues where in between that incident and up to the school shooting, he could have been seeking some sort of mental health counseling somewhere that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, we know from Marcee's family, the Polhamus family, we know that he had been making suicidal, homicidal statements, or he had been talking a certain way that they found really alarming, and they wanted him in therapy immediately. And his aunt, one of the things she said was he should have been in therapy a long time ago. So it sounds like they were really pushing for that really hard. And according to them, Colt himself was begging for mental health treatment. So you just have to go back again. Like, why would the father not make sure that his son was getting the therapy he needed? That's just, I don't get that. Someone in the chat, Laura said maybe Colin was afraid of what Colt might tell a therapist about him.
Yeah. Interesting. Could be. What's really going on in the Gray household with dad and son?
Yeah.
What are the dark secrets inside the house?
Yep. We know that he had drug issues over the years. He apparently became addicted to opiates a few years back that caused them to lose their home. So that traces back to 2020. So they were evicted from their home in 2020 and then moved somewhere else. So that would be 2 houses. Then they got separated. So Colt and Colin went and lived somewhere else. So that's 3 houses. And then at some point, they moved to the place that they were living in currently. So that's 4 houses just in the last 4 years that we know of. So he was moving all over the place. And something they kept mentioning in that interview just now, what was it called? Transition school?
Mm-hmm. I saw it. It started with a T, yeah.
What they called it, transition or traditions. I want to look into that because that to me sounds like it could be an alternative type school. That maybe he actually went to an alternative school for a period of time.
The grandfather, Charles Polhamus, said, spending 11 years with that son of a bee screaming and hollering every day can affect anybody. He told the New York Post. He's evil. And he's talking about the father.
Yeah.
See, one of the things I noticed, though, when he was rocking back and forth, I wonder if he was scared of his own dad.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, because I'm sure his dad wasn't too happy about the police coming to their house.
Like, after they left, he started to... I mean, we never heard anything about physical abuse. The grandparents are saying a lot more about mental. But I wonder if some physical abuse was going on inside that household. Like, the dad just seems like... I don't know, man. Like, I just can't... The dumb decisions. Just dumb. But on top of what we've heard about everything, it just seems like he's 100% responsible, but I would say the dad is 100% responsible too. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, he's definitely 100% responsible for what he did, and he's going to pay the ultimate price. He's never and should ever be out into society ever again for what he did. But the dad too, I mean, the dad seems like the dad has just, failed and destroyed any sense of family with this whole family. Maybe the mother, too, addicted to drugs, but we heard that the dad got the mother addicted to drugs. Didn't we hear that? Or is
right. Yeah, and that happens a lot with people in relationships. When one starts using drugs, the other one joins in. And, clearly things did not turn out well as far as that goes. Now, a lot of people are wondering, too, if he was still on drugs, the dad, because some people wondered in his court hearing if he might have been going through some type of withdrawals. He kind of, he just looked he didn't look good at all. And he was rocking in the seat. And so I wonder if he was really into drugs bad. And, one of the things that Laura had her point that maybe he was afraid of what Colt would say to a therapist. Maybe that's one of the things he was worried Colt would say, that my dad's on drugs or something to that effect.
See, we'll definitely because I want to know. I want to follow this case all the way through its entirety, and I suspect, over time we will probably learn about that from his own lawyers. The kid's lawyers explaining, as mitigation in these penalty phases down the line. And assuming he's guilty, he's going to be guilty. Come on, if anyone thinks he's not, I don't know what universe you're on. Down the line, whether he makes a plea bargain or whatever, I think the lawyers are going to just hone in on his whole childhood. And I think it will bring a lot to light of what he was subjected to all these years.
Yeah, I think so too. I think one point that a lot of people are missing in all this is that when Colin and Marcee separated, Colt went to live with Colin and the 2 younger children went to live with Marcee. So Colt was not in Marcee's custody for quite some time. I think 2 years, maybe, something like that. Around 2 years it's been that his father has had sole custody of him. So, you know, a lot of people wondering, well, why isn't the mother being blamed and why isn't the mother being charged? Well, she's a non-custodial parent. He wasn't living with her. He was living with his dad. And I feel like as a non-custodial parent, I'm really not sure what else she could have done besides what she did do and what her family did. You know, they went out of their way to go up there, talk to the school counselor, make the counselor aware of his mental health struggles. They booked him an appointment for therapy. On the morning of, Marcee called the school, warned them that there was an emergency. She got in her car. She started driving there. I mean, I'm just at a loss. I don't know what else Marcee could have done, being that she's a non-custodial parent, not to mention the fact at the time she was 3 hours away at her parents' house. So I just really don't understand why people keep blaming the mother. And they're like, well, don't you think that she contributed to his development? And it's like, well, yeah, obviously she's his mother. His whole life contributed to his development, everything in his life. But lots of kids go through, you know, a troubled home life, and they don't go around shooting up a school, you know. So that's the hand he was dealt. And I feel like, to me, the father, it's just very strange to me that those family members were insisting that he get therapy, and then the father just never did it. I think that's a real problem, and I think that'll come up too.
When's school going back? Do you know? I was looking that up. Did school, when are they saying school goes back? Does anyone know in the chat?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about whether or not they're going to have school tomorrow. It's hard to imagine that they would, but yeah, we talked about that last week. What do they do at this point, you know?
Yeah. Or we're following this case. Anything else you'd like to add, Magnolia?
No, I think, well, the other thing I wanted to just touch on was the counselor, the school counselor. A lot of people are upset that she's been called out and things like that. But, you know, I think there's something to that, just because of how quickly the kids were pointing fingers at her. It was like that same night we were getting these emails, people literally saying that she should be blamed for this. And I thought that was really interesting so fast. And remember, we were like, why would they say that? Like, how in the world would she be responsible, you know? But that's kind of how the kids at the school felt. And so we'll see what happens with her. Now, you know, she was called by the mother who said it was an emergency. As far as we know, she did not go look for Colt. Someone else did. Either an administrator or an assistant teacher or something like that. So I'm sure they've spoken to her, and we'll just have to see what happens, like if she keeps her job, or, you know, what happens with that going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting to see if anyone gets placed on administrative leave or fired. Anyone, you know, at the school, and that remains to be seen. I have a feeling it could be possible, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Thanks for coming on, Magnolia.
All right.
Thank you.
Later.
All right, so I want to show one more clip, folks, a newer clip about and this is interesting here because now this clip here shows and it shares a little bit about the assistant principals, the one that tried to track down Colt after the mother called the counselor to inform the counselor what was going on. Apparently, the counselor got the assistant principal who went around. They actually found the wrong guy. There's some other guy with a similar name. We think it's that Colt Gray guy. We think it could have been somebody else. But I just want to play the short clip with y'all.
And that is our top story for you tonight at 5. Good evening and thanks for being with us. I'm Jennifer Bellamy.
And I'm Jonathan Martin. We want to start with this. 11 Alive's Grace King is at Apalachee High School for us tonight, digging into the timeline of what happened during that fateful morning.
And Grace, the mother who you spoke with, has a daughter who was in the classroom with Colt Gray, that math class, and she is demanding answers from the district about what her daughter says happened that morning.
Right, answers that neither the sheriff's office nor the school district have offered so far about a call the shooter's mom allegedly made to the district that morning, warning them that something bad could happen. According to text messages Colt Gray's family shared with the Washington Post, the mother, Marcee Gray, says she notified an Apalachee high school counselor at 9:50 the morning of the shooting. She told them it was an extreme emergency and for them to go immediately and find her son.
Around 10, the assistant principal came to the room looking for the shooter, but had the wrong name and took another child's backpack and left.
Rebecca Sarath spoke with 11 Alive by phone. Her daughter Lila shared a math class with Colt Gray and another student with a very similar name. She explained to her mom what happened next.
Short time later, that child comes back in with his backpack, and she asked him, like, what happened? Why did they take your backpack? And he's like, I don't know. They have the wrong person.
At that point, Rebecca says her daughter told her it was too late. Her classmate had spotted Colt in the hallway with a gun.
My biggest concern is when you went to the class looking for that child, why was the school not put on lockdown when you found out he was not in class? Like, why was nothing done?
And it's important to point out at this point, as we see Grace here, that we have not independently confirmed whether Colt's mom actually called the school that morning and who she may have spoken to and what exactly was said. But Grace, you were speaking with the mom. How is Lila doing tonight?
Well, they're taking the week at the beach this week because everything here is just a painful reminder of what took place. But eventually, Lila wants to go back to school here because this is her place with her friends and her people. Live in Winder, Grace King, 11 Alive News.
Okay, so that was Lila. Remember Lila? Lila was the classmate we shared. Lila, let me just get a photo of Colt here so we can continue this conversation. Well, guess what? Lila's mom is demanding answers from school about what transpired that morning. And I think a lot of parents are probably going to demand answers because supposedly the mom of Colt made a phone call to the school, spoke to a counselor who then directed, I guess, the assistant principal or let the assistant principal or somebody up the chain of command know that they went and they got the wrong guy. Could have this been prevented if they would have acted? And I think a lot of parents are starting to wonder that. So what I said earlier about people being suspended or placed on administrative leave, I actually think it's going to happen at one point. Who will it be? I don't know. Will it be the counselor, the assistant principal, people that because they got the wrong person? And, who knows? Who knows? But we are definitely following this case for sure. That is pretty much the latest on this terrible tragedy that I see. Grandfather wants the death penalty, the body cam footage, and that. Other than that, we really don't know more information other than what we've already put out. So we'll just keep covering this case extensively on JLR Investigates. If you know anyone or you're part of this school or you want to contact us and put some information out that we should know and be aware of, you can speak to us on the record, off the record, protect your anonymity, identity, whatever. That's cool. Tips at JLR Investigates. Would love to hear from you. Would love to learn more. And anything else that develops on this terrible tragedy, we will share here on JLR Investigates. So hit that sub button. Good evening, everyone. Be safe. You love your loved ones. Stay safe out there for sure, my friends. And we will talk soon. Have a good night, everyone. JLR Investigates. We cover true crime 24/7, 365 on this channel right here. You will hear a lot of things first on this channel because we're constantly trying to get the latest so we can share it all with you. Have a good night, everyone. JLR Investigates. Stay safe.